The Heart of the City. Chapter 1. The Decision. Elena Martinez stood at the edge of the bustling city square, her eyes scanning the crowd. The air was thick with the scent of street food, the hum of conversation, and the occasional blare of a car horn. She had lived in this city her entire life, watching it grow, change, and sometimes struggle. But now, more than ever, she felt a pull, a need to do something more. It had been a year since the last mayor resigned amid scandal, leaving the city in the hands of an interim leader who seemed more interested in maintaining the status quo than addressing the city's deep-rooted issues. Crime was on the rise, affordable housing was scarce, and the public school system was crumbling. The people deserved better, and Elena knew it was time to step up. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding as she made her way to the small stage set up in the center of the square. A few curious onlookers turned their heads, recognizing her from her years of community organizing and advocacy work. She climbed the steps, adjusted the microphone, and began to speak. "Good afternoon, everyone," she started, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "My name is Elena Martinez, and today I am announcing my candidacy for mayor of our great city." The crowd murmured, some nodding in approval, others looking skeptical. Elena continued, her passion evident in every word. "For too long, we've been told that change is impossible, that the problems we face are too big, too complex. But I believe in the power of this community. I believe in us. Together, we can build a city that works for everyone, not just the privileged few." Chapter 2. The Campaign. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Elena's small team worked tirelessly, knocking on doors, organizing rallies, and spreading her message of hope and reform. She spent her days meeting with residents, listening to their concerns, and sharing her vision for the future. But it wasn't easy. Her opponent, Councilman Richard Grayson, was a seasoned politician with deep pockets and powerful allies. He dismissed Elena as an idealistic outsider and used his influence to undermine her campaign at every turn. One evening, after a long day of campaigning, Elena sat in her modest apartment scrolling through the latest news headlines. A local paper had published a hit piece accusing her of being unprepared and out of touch. She sighed, feeling the weight of the fight ahead. Her best friend and campaign manager, Marcus, placed a cup of tea in front of her. "Don't let them get to you," he said. "You're speaking the truth, and people are listening. That's what matters." Elena smiled weakly. "I just hope it's enough." Chapter 3. The Turning Point. As the election drew closer, the city faced a crisis. A major factory announced it was closing, leaving hundreds of workers without jobs. The news sent shockwaves through the community, and people looked to their leaders for answers. Councilman Grayson held a press conference, promising to bring in new businesses and create jobs, but his words felt hollow, lacking any real plan or empathy. Elena saw an opportunity. She organized a town hall meeting, inviting the affected workers, local business owners, and community leaders to come together and brainstorm solutions. The event was packed, and the energy in the room was electric. Standing before the crowd, Elena spoke from the heart. "This isn't just about jobs. It's about people, about families who are struggling to make ends meet. We can't rely on empty promises. We need real action, and we need it now." She outlined a plan to invest in worker retraining programs, support small businesses, and attract sustainable industries to the city. The crowd erupted in applause, and for the first time, Elena felt a glimmer of hope. Chapter 4. Victory. Election day arrived, and the city turned out in record numbers. Elena spent the day visiting polling stations, thanking volunteers, and shaking hands with voters. As the polls closed, she gathered with her team at a local community center to await the results. The hours dragged on, the tension palpable. Finally, the news broke. Elena Martinez had won by a narrow but decisive margin. Tears filled her eyes as she took the stage to deliver her victory speech. "This win isn't just mine," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "It belongs to all of us, to every person who believed in the possibility of a better future. Together, we will build a city that reflects our values, our dreams, and our shared humanity." The crowd cheered, their voices rising in unison. Elena looked out at the sea of faces, feeling the weight of the responsibility she had taken on. It wouldn't be easy, but she was ready. For the first time in a long time, the city felt alive with hope. Epilogue. a new beginning. Months into her term, Elena faced countless challenges, but she remained steadfast, guided by the principles that had brought her this far. She worked tirelessly to implement her plans, always keeping the voices of the people at the forefront. The city began to change, slowly but surely. Crime rates dropped as community policing initiatives took hold, affordable housing projects broke ground, and the public schools saw much-needed investments. The factory workers who had lost their jobs found new opportunities through retraining programs. Elena knew there was still much work to be done, but she also knew that the city was on the right path. She had run for mayor not for power or prestige, but because she believed in the power of community. And now, she was living proof of what could happen when people came together to fight for what they believed in. The heart of the city was beating stronger than ever. By Michael